A lot of our transgender services, when it comes to gender-affirming products, when it comes to advocacy, are things that I work with. So I also help organize our name change clinics, and those bills specifically had a lot to do with the name change process for transgender individuals in Michigan. And so I helped lobby for those bills in Lansing with Equality Michigan. All right, so the House bills that did pass were concerning publication of your name and that your hearing was going to take place to change your name. That's no longer required. There also was a requirement that you had to be fingerprinted and had a background check by the Michigan State Police. Getting rid of those requirements assumes that people are in good faith changing their name. They're not assumed guilty of something for wanting to go through that process. It also, folks, when they go to change their name, they are required to appear in court, including minors. So by this bill being passed, minors will no longer have to appear for a judge to testify about who they are and their identity. That publication requirement is really key as well, because there is a safety issue when it comes to transgender individuals, that it might not be a safe choice to force somebody to publicize in the paper that they are changing their name, right? You might be escaping your family, you might be have situations where you could be publicly outed and therefore lose your job or be discriminated against in work or in housing or any of these other areas, which are technically illegal, but they still happen. One of that publication requirement also, it assists folks that are not just transgender, but folks that are survivors of domestic violence, as well as sex trafficking or human trafficking in any capacity, right? Not having to, people in any of those situations, it is helping protect them from people who want to cause them harm. So people who get their name changed through the process of marriage, they usually do not have to go through all of these steps, like getting fingerprinted, going to court. You just do it right on your marriage certificate, right? You just put the name that you'd like in that marriage certificate document. When it's submitted to the clerk, passes through as this also counts as a name change document. So yeah, what passing these bills has done is it's helped update Michigan to be in line with where 40 other states in the United States already are, right? These bills were trying to change something that was already antiquated, and just keep us in line with where modern society has moved. The other bill that did pass helped make it so that folks who are wanting to change their birth certificates no longer have to provide proof of surgery. So before, it was required that you have a doctor's note saying that these are either steps that are in planned or have already been performed, like that you are required to have surgery before that birth certificate document can be changed. And this gets rid of that. The requirement to have surgery not only goes against kind of, I don't want to say everything the trans movement stands for, but it really does, right? It's not accessible. Not everybody can afford gender-affirming surgery. And not everybody wants gender-affirming surgery, right? Which is a whole issue about transmedicalism, where we would like to be able to affirm people's genders regardless of what kind of process they want their body to actually go through for that process. We're very lucky in Michigan. We had the update to the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, which does protect people to be able to use the bathroom of their choice. The update to Elliott Larson involved sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. So, and that includes youth in schools, right? So if you have a student, if one of your children or your niece or your nephew or a child in your guardianship are going to school and for some reason the principal or the superintendent says that they are not allowed to use a certain bathroom because it's causing issues, that's something that the school has to deal with. They have to figure out why they are not addressing the bullying concern at their school, because that student is protected by the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act. When it comes to other states, I'm less aware. I think that the basic through line when it comes to using the bathroom is that if you can tell what somebody's genitals are while you're using the bathroom, you're the one doing something wrong. Nobody should be aware of what anybody has going on underneath of their skirt or their pants while they're in the bathroom. It's just wash your hands and leave, Don't be too concerned with what other people are doing. I would say that we have already seen hundreds of bills be introduced across the United States in 2025 that are anti-transgender specifically. There are also drag laws, also book bannings. There are also, direct attacks on gay and lesbian and bisexual folks as well, right? And I think that that's an important piece to mention too, is right, the focus is largely on transgender folks, but we do still have private businesses saying that they won't, bake a cake for a gay wedding, right? We still have those things happening. We just had one happen 2 weeks ago. So not here in Michigan, but in another state. So it is important for us to realize that some of these things are very, very real, and the threats are very, very real. We still experience discrimination at every turn, even if it's technically illegal to do so. That discrimination can be put under different terms, it can be put in different ways, but particularly with the incoming presidential administration and the fact that the Michigan House is now a conservative majority when it was a supermajority for liberals for a while, there also is, that same problem in our national legislature. So these bills are coming, and it is really, really important for people to do their research and to reach out to people that they feel comfortable talking to ask questions, right? Because the biggest thing that we are going to be facing, and the biggest thing we're always facing as queer people for decades and decades, is misinformation, right? Usually when people meet a trans person or they meet a gay person, they don't have a problem. There's never an issue, and usually we're pretty simple to make friends with, We're pretty easy to love, personally, I think, So, it's that misinformation that is the biggest issue, and it essentially comes down to don't believe a lot of the fear that will come, because it's going to get worse before it's going to get better. Like you said, it is one step forward, 2 steps back. But eventually we will continue to see, hopefully, meaningful change. And that comes from not stepping back, not falling into disarray, not falling into fear, and really looking at your community and investing in your community and seeing how you can stay connected in your community.